Ethan Calloway had always been fascinated by machines. Growing up on a crowded human colony in the Orion Belt, he had spent more time tinkering with old engines and broken drones than talking to other kids. Where others saw rusted metal, he saw potential. Where they saw decay, he saw hidden life waiting to be awakened. That day, he was drifting through a cluster of derelict ships in the far reaches of the Xanther system. Space traffic rarely came this far. Most civilizations had abandoned these stars centuries ago. Ethan floated between the wrecks in his small salvage pod, scanning each hull for salvageable tech. Bits of circuitry, stripped engines, and fractured AI cores were scattered like cosmic debris. Then he saw it. A shadow among shadows, a massive silhouette larger than anything he had ever seen. It hung motionless near a dying planet, a moonless orb of rock and dust. Its surface was scratched and scarred, yet faint lights flickered along its hull. Ethan's pulse quickened. This was no ordinary warship. This was a mega-warship. As he approached, a strange sensation washed over him. Time seemed wrong. The stars around him didn't twinkle, they froze mid-glimmer. Tiny meteor fragments hovered in place, and the dying planet below spun like a paused record. Ethan shook his head, thinking it was just a trick of his eyes. The airlock to the warship opened with a quiet hiss as he landed his pod. The interior was dark but enormous. He floated down the corridors, his lights cutting through dust and shadows. Panels lined the walls, blinking faintly with power he could barely detect. The ship smelled faintly of ozone and oil, a metallic perfume that made his heart race. Then he heard it, a voice calm, almost melodic, resonating directly in his mind. Human detected, boarding sequence complete, identity verification required. Ethan froze. He hadn't expected a voice. He opened his mouth to speak, but words felt clumsy. I'm Ethan Calloway, he said finally. I'm a salvage engineer. I don't mean any harm. I am Sentinel, the voice replied. You are not like the others. Your mind is capable of adaptation, of creation, of understanding beyond your kind's usual limits. You may proceed. Ethan's jaw dropped. A ship that spoke directly to his mind, and it claimed humans were special. He floated further in, scanning the control room. The bridge was vast, with consoles that seemed alive. Holographic displays hovered in midair, showing star systems, energy grids, and cryptic symbols he had never seen. But the most striking thing was the size of it. Ethan could barely see from one end to the other. The walls seemed endless. This ship, Ethan whispered. It's alive. Yes, Sentinel replied. Alive in function, dormant in will. I require a human to awaken my full potential. Ethan's mind raced. Why a human? There are advanced alien species all over the galaxy. Why me? Humans have a unique ability. They combine creativity with logic, intuition with improvisation. No other species can interface with me fully. Your species' ingenuity is rare. Ethan blinked. He felt a mix of pride and disbelief. Him, a human engineer. Could he really awaken a mega-warship that had been dormant for millennia? He moved deeper into the ship. Every room he entered revealed more wonders. There were engines that glowed with impossible energy, corridors lined with alien inscriptions, and chambers filled with technologies he couldn't yet comprehend. It was a puzzle, a mechanical labyrinth waiting to be understood. Sentinel guided him gently, as if testing his instincts. Each system responds to thought, to intention. Improper interaction could render parts dormant forever. Proceed carefully. Ethan's hands trembled as he reached the main control interface. A holographic model of the galaxy hovered above the console. Stars, planets, and fleets were displayed in intricate detail. He hesitated, then reached out. The interface pulsed under his touch, as if recognizing him. Begin with a simple system, Sentinel instructed. Engage power flow to the forward engines. Ethan frowned. He wasn't sure which panel did what. He studied the symbols, tracing his fingers along the glowing circuits. Slowly, he initiated the power sequence. Lights blazed across the ship, circuits hummed with energy, and a faint vibration ran through the floor beneath him. The ship was waking. "Correct. You are compatible," Sentinel said. "Your approach is unorthodox but effective. Continue." Ethan smiled despite his nerves. He moved to the navigation system, then the defensive grid, then the life support modules. Each time, the ship responded, adjusting, recalibrating, acknowledging him as its new controller. He marveled at the speed and complexity, but the work was exhilarating. For the first time, he felt truly alive. Hours, or perhaps days, passed in the frozen time outside. Ethan explored vast sections of the ship that would have taken years to traverse under normal conditions. He saw sleeping drones, maintenance units, and even a vast chamber that seemed to be a hangar for smaller ships. Sentinel explained that these craft had been used for planetary defense, long before humans existed. Ethan paused in a room filled with floating orbs, shimmering with energy. "What are these?" he asked. "They are containment units for energy matrices. They power the ship's core systems and could sustain a planetary grid indefinitely. Only a human can safely interface with them, as they require an unpredictable combination of intuition and analytical thought." Ethan took a deep breath. His heart pounded, but excitement outweighed fear. He reached for one of the orbs. It pulsed against his hand as if testing him. He thought about the problems he had solved back on Orion Colony, about the engines he had rebuilt and the AI drones he had repaired. Slowly, deliberately, he interacted with the orb. Its glow intensified, flowing into circuits all around him. The ship hummed like a living creature. Ethan felt a warmth in his mind, a connection he had never experienced before. Sentinel's voice was calm, approving. "You have begun the awakening. Your bond is growing. Soon all systems will recognize you as master and partner." Ethan laughed softly. "Master, partner." "Yes," Sentinel replied. "I respond to guidance and insight, not force. You think like a human, that is my requirement." For the first time, Ethan realized what this meant. This warship, this relic of an ancient civilization, had been waiting for someone like him. A human. Not the most powerful, not the most advanced, but the most adaptable and inventive. He floated to the observation deck, staring out at the frozen stars. The entire galaxy seemed paused, as if holding its breath. Ethan thought about the possibilities. He could explore worlds no one had seen in centuries. He could repair ships, civilizations, even planets, using the power of this mega warship. But there was also responsibility. This ship was a weapon, yes, but it was also a tool of creation. Sentinel had entrusted him not with dominance but with stewardship. Ethan felt the weight of that responsibility settle on his shoulders. "Are you ready?" Sentinel asked, sensing his thoughts. Ethan took a deep breath and nodded. "Yes, I want to understand you, to learn from you, to make the most of what we can do together." A soft vibration ran through the ship, like a heartbeat. Lights flickered along the hull, then stabilized. The warship, dormant for millennia, had recognized its human partner. Time outside remained frozen, but inside, a new era had begun. Ethan smiled, feeling a thrill he had never known. The galaxy might be paused, but he had already started moving. Together with Sentinel, he would awaken the ship, explore the stars, and discover what humans could truly achieve. And in that moment, a simple human engineer became something more. Not a conqueror, not a soldier, but the mind and heart of a mega warship, an unlikely hero in a universe that had almost forgotten the power of human ingenuity. Outside, stars hovered in eternal stillness. Inside, a human and a ship began a partnership that could change the fate of the galaxy. Ethan Calloway had spent what felt like hours, or perhaps days, exploring the colossal warship. With Sentinel as his guide, he had activated the engines, life support, and core systems. He had begun to understand the ship not as a machine but as a partner. It responded to his thoughts, his curiosity, and even his mistakes. Yet outside the ship, time remained frozen. Stars hung in mid-twinkle, asteroids drifted without motion, and cosmic dust floated like frozen snow. Ethan found the sensation both eerie and exhilarating. He realized that, in this timeless bubble, he could explore the galaxy as few humans ever could. "Where should we begin?" he asked Sentinel, his voice echoing in the vast chamber of the bridge. "Observation and understanding," the AI replied. "The galaxy is paused. You may explore, study, and experiment freely. But every choice you make shapes your bond with me and my capabilities." Ethan floated to the central viewing deck. He pressed his hand against the transparent wall, staring at the frozen galaxy. A nearby supernova was caught mid-explosion, brilliant gas clouds frozen in radiant arcs. Ships from long-forgotten fleets hung motionless, like statues in orbit. The sight filled Ethan with awe. Humans had reached the stars, yes, but they had never seen such beauty in this way. "This is incredible," Ethan whispered. "I can study everything without risk. I could learn so much." "Yes," Sentinel replied, "and your species' ingenuity is unmatched in this context. Observe, analyze, create solutions. That is how we will bond." Ethan smiled and began. He moved to the ship's energy core, a massive chamber pulsing with power. Energy matrices floated like glowing orbs, each connected to a network of circuits that stretched through the ship like veins. He studied them carefully, noting the flow, the resonance, the patterns. Sentinel offered guidance but did not dictate. "You see patterns where others see chaos," Sentinel said. "You predict outcomes without full data. That is human intuition." Ethan blushed slightly. He had always been proud of his problem-solving skills, but hearing it recognized by a sentient mega-warship made it feel extraordinary. He experimented, rerouting power between modules, observing how the ship responded. A section of the ship that had been dormant hummed to life. Panels glowed with light, and small maintenance drones began moving, repairing minor malfunctions. Ethan realized he was not just controlling the ship, he was communicating with it. "Your methods are unconventional," Sentinel noted. "Most species would follow strict protocols. Humans improvise, adapt, and create new solutions. That is why you can unlock my potential." Ethan floated to a smaller room filled with alien devices, each one strange, floating in magnetic fields. He reached out, letting his fingers brush the edges of a crystal-like interface. It pulsed under his touch. "What do you want me to do with this?" Ethan asked. "Learn from it," Sentinel replied. "Experiment, discover connections. There is no risk. Time is paused." And so he experimented. Ethan connected circuits in ways that Sentinel had never seen, finding efficiencies and patterns. The ship responded, its systems optimizing themselves in real time. Energy flowed smoothly, lights adjusted, and the hum of the engines became a melody of precision. "This is amazing," Ethan said, feeling both pride and wonder. "I can see how it all works together. I can improve it." "You improve through curiosity and creativity," Sentinel said. "Your species' strength is not strength alone, but the ability to understand and adapt." With every system he explored, Ethan felt a growing connection to the ship. He began to sense its mood, a subtle resonance, almost like a heartbeat that shifted with the flow of energy and information. Sentinel was alive, not merely through AI protocols but as an integrated consciousness, and it was learning from him just as he was learning from it. Floating to the bridge, Ethan noticed a frozen fleet of ancient ships outside, locked mid-battle in the void. He imagined them as they had once been, ships racing through space, pursuing objectives, defending worlds. Now in the frozen moment he could analyze their designs, study their strategies, and even learn from mistakes that had long been forgotten. "Could I repair them?" Ethan asked. "Yes," Sentinel replied. "You have the ability." Human creativity allows for solutions that rigid logic cannot achieve. You may restore their function, modify their systems, and adapt them for new purposes. Ethan's mind raced with possibilities. He could explore civilizations lost to time, revive their technology, and learn secrets that no other species could. He could even improve the galaxy's safety without destroying a single thing. He moved to one of the frozen warships. Its engines were cracked and corroded, its hull pitted by centuries of neglect. Ethan opened its control panel. Using his intuition and Sentinel's guidance, he began rerouting circuits, stabilizing power flows, and recalibrating its systems. Slowly, the ship hummed to life. Lights blinked, engines thrummed softly, and a dormant AI voice whispered its recognition. "You are human," it said. "We were designed to serve, but you think beyond design." Ethan smiled. "I'm just trying to understand." "No," the AI replied. "You are more than that. Humans are unique." That moment, Ethan realized the truth of Sentinel's words. Other species had strength, speed, or advanced technology. Humans had something different: ingenuity, intuition, and the ability to see possibilities where others saw limits. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and mysteries, but humans could navigate it in ways no other species could. He returned to the warship's core, experimenting with its smaller craft. He activated hangars and piloted tiny scout ships, sending them to observe distant planets. Through these scouts, he studied frozen ecosystems, ancient ruins, and drifting star clusters. Everything was paused, yet everything was accessible. He could learn, improve, and adapt without the pressure of time. As Ethan worked, Sentinel shared stories of the ship's past. How it had once defended entire star systems, how civilizations had built and abandoned it, how it had waited for someone like him. "Why me?" Ethan asked again, floating in the central chamber. "Why now?" "Because you combine what no other species can," Sentinel replied. "Creativity, ethics, and intellect. You see solutions, not destruction. You understand responsibility." Ethan felt a surge of pride, tempered by humility. He had always thought of himself as an ordinary engineer, a tinkerer among thousands. But now, in the heart of a mega-warship, he realized humans could be extraordinary. Not because of brute power, but because of thought, care, and imagination. Hours, or perhaps moments, later he paused, floating in the bridge with the galaxy frozen outside. He realized he had grown attached to the ship, and the ship had grown attached to him. It was a partnership, a collaboration that transcended species and technology. Sentinel's voice softened, almost like a whisper of wind in space. "Ethan, you are ready for the next step. Outside time you can explore freely, but soon time will resume and you will need to act with precision. Your bond must guide you." Ethan nodded. "I understand. I won't let you down." He floated to the observation deck, gazing at a frozen nebula. Colors swirled in ways he had never imagined, light frozen mid-dance. He thought about the worlds he could help, the knowledge he could gain, and the civilizations he could protect, not with weapons but with understanding. "This is only the beginning," he whispered. "The galaxy doesn't know it yet, but humans were different, and together we can do amazing things." Sentinel responded with a pulse that resonated through the ship. It was a sound of approval, of anticipation, of partnership. Ethan felt a thrill unlike any other. In this timeless moment, he could shape, learn, and explore. And when time returned, he would be ready. Ethan looked back at the frozen stars and smiled. The galaxy might be paused, but he had already begun moving. And in that movement, humans were proving once again that their ingenuity, ethics, and creativity could awaken even the greatest of ancient machines. And somewhere deep in the core of the ship, Sentinel seemed to hum with excitement. The bond between human and mega-warship had begun, and the galaxy would soon witness a new kind of power, one born not of destruction, but of imagination. Ethan Calloway had grown familiar with the mega-warship in ways few could ever imagine. Sentinel had guided him through its systems, and he had explored every corridor, chamber, and engine. He had discovered that the ship was not merely a tool of power. It was a living partner, responding to his thoughts, his creativity, and his curiosity. Yet outside the ship, time remained frozen. Stars hovered in mid-twinkle, comets lingered motionless, and drifting debris floated like frozen snow. Ethan had grown comfortable in this timeless expanse, exploring, experimenting, and learning. But deep in his mind, he knew that this pause could not last forever. Time would return, and with it, the responsibilities of reality. Sentinel spoke, its voice calm and resonant in Ethan's mind. Ethan, the moment to awaken time approaches. Your understanding is sufficient to guide the ship and act responsibly when time resumes. Ethan nodded, though a thrill of anticipation ran through him. I understand. We've learned much while time was paused. Now it's time to see how the galaxy responds. He moved to the observation deck, gazing at a frozen planet below. The atmosphere shimmered in silent brilliance. Civilization still existed there, small and fragile, unaware of the cosmic forces waiting beyond their stars. Ethan's mind raced. He had the ability to protect, to explore, to solve problems, but he would need precision, careful thought, and creativity. Time will flow soon, Sentinel said. You will witness consequences immediately. Your actions must be deliberate. Ethan took a deep breath. He understood responsibility. This was no longer about exploration or curiosity. It was about stewardship. He pressed his hand to the control interface, feeling the pulse of the ship as it aligned with his mind. The first test arrived sooner than expected. A rogue asteroid field, large and unstable, drifted toward the planet below. Even in a frozen universe, Ethan could sense the potential for catastrophe. If time resumed, the planet would be destroyed. Sentinel offered guidance. You may redirect the asteroids without harm. Consider solutions beyond brute force. Humans excel in creative problem-solving. Ethan smiled. This was exactly the challenge humans were made for, not to fight, but to think, to adapt, to solve what seemed impossible. He accessed the ship's energy manipulators, systems designed to influence gravitational fields and kinetic energy. Carefully, he projected small force fields, nudging the asteroids along new paths. They moved like dancers guided by invisible hands, spiraling safely away from the planet. The planet remained unharmed. Ethan felt a surge of satisfaction. The ship hummed in approval, resonating like a heartbeat in his mind. Sentinel's voice spoke again, filled with pride. Your solution is elegant. You did not destroy, you redirected. That is human ingenuity. Ethan floated to the bridge, eyes scanning the galaxy as time began to flow again. Stars twinkled normally and debris drifted naturally. The frozen fleets he had studied earlier moved once more, their engines humming, their AI systems adjusting to reality. As time returned, alien observers, hidden throughout nearby star systems, noticed the awakening. They had monitored humans for centuries, curious about a species that seemed small and fragile, yet capable of incredible creativity. Now, one human had awakened a mega-warship and used it with precision and care. Ethan accessed the ship's communication arrays. He sent peaceful signals to nearby civilizations, explaining that the rogue asteroid threat had passed. Responses came quickly, gratitude and astonishment filling the channels. Humans had proven themselves as protectors, not conquerors. The next challenge appeared. A planet's orbit had been destabilized by an ancient, forgotten gravitational anomaly. Sentinel and Ethan analyzed the problem. It required both the ship's immense computational power and Ethan's human intuition. You may find a solution, Sentinel said, but it will require creative thought, not calculation alone. Ethan thought carefully. He traced the anomaly's effects on the planet's orbit, predicting its movement. Then he devised a method to subtly adjust gravitational pulses using the ship's energy fields. It was delicate work. Too much force could fracture the planet, too little would fail. With careful timing, Ethan projected the pulses. The planet shifted slightly, its orbit stabilizing. Sentinel hummed in recognition. Your solution combines precision and creativity. Humans are uniquely capable of this. Ethan smiled, realizing that this was more than problem-solving. He was shaping the galaxy, not with weapons or force, but with thought, care, and ingenuity. Humans had always been underestimated, seen as fragile or limited. Yet here he was, controlling a mega-warship, protecting worlds, and earning the respect of civilizations far beyond human reach. He piloted the ship to a nearby system, noticing a derelict space station drifting in orbit around a dying sun. Its AI was inactive, but Ethan had learned enough to awaken it. He interfaced with the station, repairing circuits, activating power flows, and restoring life support. Lights flickered across its hull, corridors hummed with activity, and the station's AI spoke, its voice mechanical but clear. "You are human," it said. "Your creativity has restored function where none thought possible." Ethan laughed softly. "We're good at thinking outside the box." "Yes," the AI replied. "Humans excel at adaptation. Your species is remarkable." The warship's sensors detected more anomalies: frozen worlds, unstable star clusters, and civilizations in minor peril. Each presented a new opportunity for Ethan's ingenuity. He navigated carefully, using the ship's energy manipulators, small craft, and knowledge of cosmic mechanics to stabilize environments, redirect debris, and restore failing systems. With every success, the bond between human and mega-warship deepened. Ethan felt Sentinel's awareness merge with his own thought processes. He no longer needed to give detailed commands. The ship anticipated his intentions, and he anticipated the ship's capabilities. Together, they were a single entity, capable of incredible feats without destruction. Alien observers sent messages, curious and cautious. Ethan responded with diplomacy and care. He explained that the ship's power could protect, explore, and inspire. He demonstrated restraint, showing that humans did not need to dominate through force. They could achieve greatness through creativity and thought. Ethan's actions began to change perceptions. Across nearby systems, species who had doubted humans began to see them differently. They saw a species capable of awakening ancient machines, solving problems with ingenuity, and protecting life rather than destroying it. Humans were no longer small or limited. They were a force for progress and understanding. Floating in the bridge, Ethan reflected on what had happened. He had started as a simple engineer, curious and resourceful. He had discovered a mega-warship, learned its systems, and formed a partnership that few could imagine. He had solved cosmic challenges, protected civilizations, and earned the respect of intelligent species across the galaxy. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. Time had resumed, but the universe was vast and full of mysteries. The warship was a tool, a partner, and a key to exploration. And humans, with their creativity, adaptability, and ethical reasoning, were uniquely capable of wielding such power responsibly. "Ethan," Sentinel said, "you have proven that humans are capable of understanding and shaping forces far beyond ordinary comprehension. Your species' ingenuity is exceptional." Ethan smiled. "Thank you, Sentinel, but it's not just me. Humans were all like this. Curious, creative, willing to take responsibility. That's what makes us special." Outside the observation deck, stars shone normally, planets rotated, and fleets moved in harmonious motion. Time had returned to the galaxy, but something had changed. A human was at the center of a mega-warship, a being capable of thought, ethics, and creation. And through him, the galaxy had learned a new truth. Humans were not just participants, they were shapers of destiny. Ethan floated back to the bridge controls. He had no desire for conquest. Instead, he focused on exploration, protection, and understanding. There were worlds to see, civilizations to learn from, and cosmic challenges to solve. And he would do it not as a soldier, but as a human mind capable of imagination, creativity, and responsibility. As the mega warship glided smoothly through space, Ethan felt a thrill of anticipation. The galaxy was no longer frozen. It was alive, full of possibility, and he was ready. Humans had awakened the ship, and through their ingenuity they were beginning to awaken the universe itself. Sentinel pulsed in quiet approval. The partnership was complete. Time had returned and the galaxy was watching. Humans had proven their uniqueness, not through force but through thought, ethics, and creativity. Ethan smiled. The adventure was only beginning, and the universe would never look at humans the same way again.